What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and there was a massive report that dropped from Connor Hughes about the controversy that's not only growing within the locker room, but specifically around the quarterback situation. And this was really my thought process once we got the Justin Fields signing, and once I thought there was going to be a competition or a battle to see who ended up being QB1, and instead it was handed over to Justin Fields. I don't know if that was politics at play with the money we spent to sign him or whatever the case was, but it always felt like a mistake, whether it's drafting a rookie, whether it's signing a big name free agent. When we've just handed the keys over, it's always seemed to come back and just absolutely bite us on the rear end. And as we're seeing this season, nothing's really changed from that narrative. But according to Connor Hughes, there's growing support within the building that Tyrod Taylor should be the starting quarterback. Again, from my thought process, it should have been this way the entire time. Tyrod Taylor at least has a leg up in most categories outside of athleticism and youth when you want to compare him versus Justin Fields. Can you build around him long term? No, but if you really wanted to get a chance to evaluate this roster, if you really wanted to find out if you could develop or have a hidden gem besides Garrett Wilson within the wide receiver ranks, whether it was one of the veterans stepping up or Arian Smith or maybe a UDFA taking a leap, Tyrod Taylor would have presented your best chance, right? Now, it was kind of a boost that these depth guys did get a chance to work with Tyrod Taylor a lot over the course of training camp, etc. But there was also the huge concern around his availability too. So I'm sure that also played a heavy factor here. But still, at this point, it almost feels like injury is the only thing that could stop Tyrod Taylor from being a massive improvement over Justin Fields here. But here's the concerning piece, right? Not only according to Connor Hughes was this a sentiment that's been lingering since summer for a lot of these players. His quote says, several within the locker room have told SNY at varying points beginning in training camp they believe Taylor is their best quarterback. So you have, and I would say this, right? I don't think players are always the best evaluators of other players. You could look at like the NFL top 100 list to a certain degree, and you know there's politics and stuff that come into play there as well. But I think when you are able to look at a quarterback, it is best to probably put that vote in the hands of the players in and of themselves, right? The coaching staff, there's just too many different strings that are being pulled, right? What's the money, or let's even back up off of that. What are the resources that we spent to acquire this player, right? I think that always ends up being the hot topic option for why you see one player starting over another. Take a look at the Colts, for example, right? Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson. Two guys that were both down bad, but objectively speaking, you've seen more from Daniel Jones than you had Richardson, and yet they still allowed him to get a chance to start before injuries kind of took that out of his hands. But it still felt like they were going to end up trying to play him over Daniel Jones. We're pretty much in a similar situation here, but there's tons of more stats, right? I find this crazy as our season continues to progress and we see some of the lowest lows out of Justin Fields in his performance. I see more and more of these crazy stats, like this Broncos stat line isn't even the first time of Justin Fields' career where he's had, I believe it was either net negative passing yards or just as many sacks as he's had completions, something along those lines. Either way, mind-blowing. But two, not only is this a sign that there's dissension in the locker room, one of the things that Aaron Glenn did a pretty elite job of over the offseason was putting this kind of no gag order, no leaks, it's all football 24/7. We're not worried about not only outside noise, but contributing to that outside noise. And yet, here you have here, and who knows whether this was mentioned in confidence or this is just a piece that Connor Hughes feels like putting out there now. And you could make the argument that the way that Aaron Glenn's been competitive with the media is going to directly impact more reports like this coming out whenever possible for him. the leaks were supposed to be a non-thing. So I don't think this is the biggest, craziest story in terms of mind-blowing news or anything, but it does make me caution, right? For one, who were these several players, right? Was this a combination of defensive, offensive, special teams guys? Were these mostly offensive guys that they were talking to, since you are talking about the quarterback of the team, right? Garrett Wilson has been trying to champion Justin Fields throughout the entire offseason, and now based on what's been happening in the regular season when games matter, does he still feel that way, right? Would this potentially be him siding with this narrative of the story? Would it be the rookies that are coming in freshly and they're wondering who's throwing them the ball, and Justin Fields is, one, not pulling the trigger, but two, throwing a lot of these inaccurate balls all across the field, or ones where guys would have their heads knocked off if the games were actually mattering? Referring to training camp and OTAs here, who knows? But this is going to be a growing conversation, and it's one that seems to kind of make Aaron Glenn want to cower in his shell, if you will, because he's always... There's been certain times, especially after these losses, but there's been certain questions that really seem to trigger Aaron Glenn. And one of the biggest ones is really the decision-making or thought process, one, about acquiring Justin Fields, but two, are really around a lot of the performances here as well. And he seems to kind of be defaulting, and it's sad to say, to kind of a lot of these solid-isms, if you will, where you're starting to slowly see him crediting the defense, for example. You're starting to see a lot of these unfathomable decisions that are being made in game at not only just pivotal moments, but just situations where you have a chance to either keep a game close or try to go ahead. You're already lacking in talent, objectively speaking. Where's the risk? Where's the bravado? Where's this aggressiveness that was presented when we first hired him in the offseason? A lot of that is dissipated, is disappeared, and now it feels like he's really in damage control, and he's trying to do his absolute best just to control the narrative of what's happening. And by trying to focus on that too much, one, that could be potentially taken away from his ability to play the CEO style coach that we've known him to be so far early in his tenure. And two, it seems to be doing more harm than good for him as people slowly pick apart every little decision, every mistake that's been made, and especially as the most important guy on his football team, Justin Fields continues to look like he's trending negatively, and it just seems like something he's not going to necessarily be able to bounce back from. Connor Rogers called this out, and it's something I honestly believe may be the case as well. Woody Johnson may not even want to fire Aaron Glenn, but Justin Fields may be the specific reason why he has no other choice but to do that. Not for the money that we spent to acquire him, not because we outbid the Steelers to obtain his rights, but because you weren't willing to admit that he doesn't give you the best option to win right now, whether that's for the sake of trying to evaluate him further or other. The coaching staff may not believe in this kid right now. The players definitely, according to these reports, don't believe in him. And the fans and the media, objectively speaking, we don't want to pay. We don't want to tune in on Sundays. We don't want to have to watch primetime games where we're struggling to even get positive yardage by the time halftime is over, right? So I don't really know where we go from here, but I would be curious. I can't see this happening under Aaron Glenn, but the word mutiny comes to mind as one of those things you could potentially see here, where the players have a meeting and maybe they bring this up to the coaching staff in terms of they want to see Tyrod Taylor be the starter. And I would be curious how Aaron Glenn ends up needing to navigate this, right? He doesn't feel like he's going to pull Justin Fields during a game, but he may end up waiting too late, right? And I guess it's already too late. We're 0-6, absolutely no hope to try to have a run of games. Playoff talks out of the conversation here, but just to change the course and projection, for the season about how we've been performing, it feels like Tyrod Taylor is going to be the only other hope, unless you pull off some kind of wild trade for, I don't know, a Shedeur Sanders, Jameis Winston, something like that, just to try to give this team a facelift, a new voice, something to look forward to here. But let me know what you guys think. not only are leaks coming out suddenly, but Justin Fields losing faith. Should Tyrod Taylor be starting? Should we look elsewhere? I'll catch you guys again. Peace.